Welcome to The Explainer. Sometimes the most powerful stories are packed into just a few short verses. And that's exactly what we've got today in the Gospel of Matthew. It's a story of a miracle that's just brimming with drama, incredible faith, and, well, a pretty surprising twist at the end. We're going to break this whole thing down, from a desperate cry on a busy street to a secret that just refused to stay a secret. So, let's dive right in.
Okay, so the whole thing kicks off with this really desperate and profound plea. And I want you to pay close attention to the words here, because this isn't just a random cry for help. No, these words are absolutely loaded with meaning, with faith, and they make a really bold statement about who they believe Jesus is. Right, so to really get the weight of this cry, we've got to set the scene. You have to understand what just happened. Jesus is literally walking away from the home of a synagogue leader, a guy named Jairus, where he just raised the man's daughter from the dead. I mean, can you even imagine the buzz in the air? The atmosphere must have been absolutely electric. So as Jesus is leaving, these two blind men start following him. And this is not some quiet, polite, "excuse me, sir" kind of request. No way. You've got to picture it. A crowded, noisy street, and these two men are just shouting, crying out over and over again. It's this incredibly raw, public display of desperation. These are men who have nothing to lose and are willing to do anything for a chance to see. Okay, and here's where it gets really interesting. Let's look at the specific title they're using, Son of David. Now, to our modern ears, that might just sound like a respectful way to talk to someone, but back then, in first century Judea, this was a huge deal. It was a direct, unmistakable, messianic title. So by shouting this in public, they weren't just asking for a favor, they were making a dangerous, political, and religious declaration. They were saying, "We believe you are the one, the promised king, the Messiah from David's own family line." So you have to wonder, right? How does Jesus respond to this huge public claim? Well, the story takes a fascinating turn. The action moves from the chaos of the street into the quiet of a house. Most scholars think it was probably Peter's house in Capernaum. And get this, these two men are so determined they don't give up. They follow him right on inside. And it's here, inside the house, away from the crowds, that Jesus finally turns to them. But before he does anything, he asks them this one incredibly important question. Notice he doesn't ask, "Do you want to be able to see?" I mean, of course they do. That's obvious. Instead, he goes straight to the heart of it all. He puts the focus squarely on the one thing that matters in this moment, their belief. Do they believe he is able to do this?
And their answer? It's immediate. It's confident. There's zero hesitation. No, "well, we hope so," or "we think you can." It's just a simple, powerful, all-in statement of their total trust in him.
Yeah, Lord.
Yes.
Absolutely, we believe.
Okay, so their faith has been put out on the table. It's been confirmed, and now the story reaches its climax. This is the moment they've been waiting for, the miracle itself. So Jesus reaches out, and he actually touches their eyes. It's this simple, physical gesture. But as he does it, he says something that connects that physical act of healing directly back to the spiritual state he just asked them about, back to their faith.
And this right here, this is the absolute core of the passage. He says, "According to your faith, be it unto you." See, this isn't just Jesus showing off his power. He is explicitly connecting the result to their belief. He's essentially making them active partners in their own healing. It's incredible. Now, this is a really fascinating phrase, and biblical scholars kind of look at it in two slightly different ways. On one hand, you could see it as the amount of healing you get is proportional to the amount of faith you have. Or, on the other hand, it could mean because you showed you have faith, this healing is now the result. But honestly, either way you slice it, the main point is crystal clear. Their faith was the key. It was the crucial element that made the impossible happen. But wait, the story's not over yet, and what happens next is, in some ways, just as interesting as the healing itself. It actually gives us a really important clue about what Jesus' ministry was like at this particular stage. So, just like that, their eyes are opened. Boom! It's instant. It's total. They can see. But right on the heels of this amazing, life-altering moment comes a command from Jesus that's, well, it's surprisingly strict. Yeah, he doesn't just say, "Hey, could you guys keep this on the down low?" Not at all. The original Greek word used here is super strong. It implies a very serious, almost stern warning. The text says he straightly charged them. It's like he's laying down the law, making it absolutely clear how important this command is to him. See that no man know it. And this wasn't a one-off thing either.
Commanding people to keep quiet was actually a recurring pattern for Jesus around this time. We see him give similar orders to a leper he healed, and even to the parents of that little girl he just raised from the dead. So, why? Why the secrecy? Well, there are a few theories. Maybe he was trying to keep the crowds from getting out of control. Or maybe he didn't want his entire message to get overshadowed by just being the miracle guy. It's even possible he was trying to protect these people from getting swamped with unwanted attention.
So that brings us to the big question, doesn't it? What happens when you've just experienced something that has completely changed your entire world, and then you're told to keep it a secret?
Well, you can see the conflict laid out right here. Despite Jesus giving them this very direct, very serious order, they do the exact opposite. I mean, can you blame them? The sheer joy, the absolute shock of being able to see for the first time, it was just too big, too wonderful to keep bottled up. They couldn't help it. They basically became walking, talking billboards for Jesus' power, telling everyone they met all over the country.
So let's wrap this up. What are the big things to take away from this incredible little story? Well, first, faith isn't just a nice idea. It's presented as the absolute key, the prerequisite for the miracle. Second, we see people on the street recognizing Jesus for who he is, the Messianic Son of David. And finally, it's a powerful reminder that when something truly amazing happens to you, the impulse to share that news can be completely overwhelming. And that really leaves us with something to think about, doesn't it? This story perfectly captures a fundamental human tension, that pull between obedience and the absolute overwhelming joy of testimony. It puts the question right to us, really. If a miracle like this happened to you, something that changed everything, could you, honestly, keep it a secret?